So again, welcome everyone. The webinar will be approximately 30 minutes and we'll follow the following agenda. So I will provide a very brief overview about Trinity and also how to apply. So we have some participants here who are still planning to apply. So I feel that I must share some information about that. And then I'm also going to talk about what to do if you have an offer from us already. I will talk about the E3 initiative that I'm personally part of, and then Mads is going to talk about the course itself, and then we will close it with a Q&A session. So first of all, just very briefly about Trinity College Dublin. So Trinity College Dublin is a leading research university in the heart of Dublin, with approximately 18,000 students coming from all over the world. We were founded in 1592, and we are ranked #1 university in Ireland across, according to the QS World University Ranking 2020. And especially if you're considering the MSc in Interactive Digital Media, I would like to highlight that Trinity is ranked #1 in Europe for producing entrepreneurs for the 5th year in a row. And if you have any questions about that later on, I'm more than happy to provide more information about that. In the next slide, I would like to show a picture about a beautiful old library, which was completed in 1732 and attracts over 1 million visitors per year. And it's also the home for the Book of Kells. Students have access to this beautiful library anytime, and this is the largest library in Ireland as well. So please have a look at the picture. It's a lovely scene and a lovely feature of the university. So hopefully you will be able to join and visit this very soon. So I know that majority of you are international students. However, this information that I'm going to provide is open for all students. So even if you're coming from Ireland or from EU countries or from outside of EU, these support services are there for you. So you can have a list of services that we provide, such as counseling, student health service, disability equality, careers, and so on and so on. So later on during summer, in case you have an offer from us, you will have another webinar, which is specifically going to talk about, what services are there for you, what support is there for you during your studies, during the 1 year of studies at Trinity College Dublin. And as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about the application process and the entry requirements just very briefly in case you are still about to apply to us. So the application happens online directly to Trinity College Dublin. And it's a very simple application. What you have to do is complete the application form and attach the necessary documents, which mainly consists your transcript of records, your diploma, your degree certificate, a personal statement, 2 letters of recommendation, a copy of passport, and the application fee of 55 euros. And about the entry requirements, this is one of the programs where we don't require, let's say, like a computer science background. So if you are coming from a humanities background, you're more than welcome to join. And I think Matt is going to talk about that later on, how diverse the class is usually on the MSc in Interactive Digital Media. So you need to have a first or upper second class honors degree awarded by a recognized university in Ireland, in Europe, or in any country in the world. And we also ask for an English language exam if you are not a native speaker. We do have some exemptions. So for example, if you completed your studies in an English-speaking country in English, or in any other country in English, we can just send us an email and we can have a look if you can be exempted from an IELTS or a TOEFL certificate. What to do if you have an offer? First of all, accept your offer and pay your deposit, because that will allow you to secure your place on the program. And if you are a student coming from outside of the EU, then you will need to check the visa requirements. But again, I think academic registry and also my colleague Catherine from the Global Office is going to provide all the necessary information that you need to know about the visa application process. And of course, research about accommodation, scholarships, student services. And very important, please follow Trinity social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so on, because we share lots of very useful information on those platforms. Again, if you visit Trinity website, you can find very comprehensive information about all this. I just wanted to mention just very briefly what to do now, because we do receive inquiries about that. And I would like to mention what to do now, especially with the novel coronavirus situation. So if you are an applicant who has been affected by that, please email us and tell us your situation. So we know that, for example, IELTS centers are closed almost everywhere in the world. And we know that universities are also under lockdown in many countries. So please inform us about your situation, and we are here to help, and we are taking into consideration all those circumstances when evaluating your application. And also, if you would like to receive up-to-date information about that, about the situation at Trinity and what Trinity is doing around this case, kindly ask you to visit the two links that I mentioned on the slide. So one is directing you to the academic registry website, and the other one is dedicated just for coronavirus. So if you would like to receive an update on the coronavirus situation within Trinity, kindly ask you to visit these websites. But of course, you're also welcome to contact us directly. And now I would like to talk about the E3 initiative, which stands for Engineering, Environment and Emerging Technologies. And this initiative is without precedent in Ireland. And the main purpose is to address some of the grand challenges we are facing in Ireland and in the world. So the Masters in Interactive Digital Media is part of the E3 and is under the E3 initiative, which means that in the upcoming years, the program is going to be even more multidisciplinary, and students will have the opportunity to collaborate with students coming from other programs within the E3 initiative. On the picture, you can see the E3 Learning Foundry, which is going to be ready in September 2022, hopefully. So unfortunately, if you're starting with us this year, you will not be able to study in that building, but I just wanted to show you the development which is happening now within your field of studies. So now I would like to ask Mats to join us and present about the course. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Nora. Maybe I should have stopped my video to say hello to everybody, sort of very quickly. Hi. So I'm going to switch it off again. Yes, so the program, as you know, is a one-year taught master's program, and we cover quite a lot of different topics. I've listed them here, and I'm sure you will have seen them on the website already. So audio, video, sensor technologies, graphic design, programming, game studies and game design, interactive and narrative, and also cultural and critical studies, and those are kind of the headlines. There are also web technologies, we cover web authoring and so on. So you'll have seen all these programs. The underlying idea in this course is that we cover technology aspects, and we cover design aspects, and we care about theory as well as practice. So it's not a purely theoretical course, far from it. It contains many practical components, but as opposed to many other digital media programs, we do care about theory, because we feel that if people understand theoretical concerns well, then their practical work is better, and it makes it easier to get new practical skills, for example, to switch from one programming language to another, but also to do deeper and more influential work if you understand the theoretical concerns. So for all of the modules that are listed there, and everything we cover, really, we try and cover first theoretical aspects, and then we build practical skills on top, and they may be say design skills, or they might be technology skills, depending on the specific module. Could you take the next slide, please, Nora? Okay, great. So here are some of the job prospects. We have a LinkedIn alumni group, and I took sort of a list of the titles that people have listed in that group, and you can see it's quite a wide range there. We have app designers and developers, software designers and developers, and so many types of designers and developers, really. Also games and products and so on. We have people who are writers, like the technology journalists, for example. We have people who are project managers, analysts, and also quite a few who start their own companies, and become CEOs or CIOs, CCOs, those types of things. A few people also happens to do PhDs after this program and become research fellows, maybe, or ultimately professors, depending on which route they take. I should also mention, so this is kind of a very wide range of jobs that people take after the course, but we also have a really wide range of backgrounds for people coming into the course. So as Nora mentioned, we certainly have people from the arts humanities, and we have people from computer science and computer engineering, so people with a technical background. This year we have certainly those sort of people from computer science and computer engineering, but we also have people from from literature, from sociology, from architecture, from music. We have a couple of filmmakers this year. We have people from business. We have a landscape architect and a fashion designer this year also. So we have a really eclectic mix of people on this course, and that's one of the things that makes the course, I think, quite unique. That we have such an interesting mix of people, and people bring a lot to the course also. So they learn a lot from us, but because people bring their different perspectives to the course, class discussions become very interesting, and people learn a lot from each other as well. Our year is structured into 3 parts, as you can see on the slide there. So the first 2 semesters, which is the blue and the red one there, are teaching, and they run from September to December. That's the blue one, and then from January to April, and that's the red one there. And that's where we cover all the modules you saw on the previous slide, and you'll have seen on the website also. They run at that time. We also have something called the research paper, which is a mini dissertation. Some of you might be familiar with dissertations. They appear on many master's courses, and it's an individual project, and it's typically kind of quite an academic project. So each student will pick a topic that they're interested in, define a research question that relates to that topic, and then explore that topic, by reading, say, conference papers, journal papers, and so on, and books, and then develop an academic argument, around that topic. So the research paper also runs during those 2 semesters, and then over the summer we have the project, which is our big project. So our students spend 3 months in teams, working in teams of 4 to 5, developing an idea for something they want to create, and then they create it. And that's a very wide range of projects. We have people make. Did last year, for example, I have some pictures for that, which I'll talk a little bit about on the next slide there. But the project is really where the students get to show off their skills that they acquire during the first 2 semesters by creating something. So yes, and here it is. So the research paper, is delivered at the end of. Let me see. I think where that should actually have been. No, okay, this diagram is not completely correct, but I mentioned the research paper also already, and we have the Christmas break, and then after the project, which is sort of in the lower left corner there, we have the showcase, which is where the students show off their summer projects, and that's a kind of a very festive event, and we have an open space here on the campus where we invite the general public and all our industry contacts and other people from our school in to experience the projects. Next slide, please, Nora. Yeah, this is from the most recent showcase. The students that year decided to theme it rabbit hole, and you can kind of see one of the designs that they used for the poster. So this was produced, there were 5 projects that year, and you can kind of see some visuals that show the core idea. Next one, please. So here is one screenshot. This is an interactive installation that one of the teams made. It was called Dubliners 2019. You might be familiar with James Joyce, the Irish writer. He wrote a book called Dubliners, which contains stories set in Dublin and about the people of Dublin from the time. So this team, they decided to write their own stories based on the same idea. And then to produce them as video clips, multi-perspective video clips. So there's actually one more screen that you can't see in this photo, but they had a screen on the left also, and then the panel in the front was a touch screen, and you could scroll through the text with your hand, and then that would trigger the video feed, and it would scroll the text on the main screen in front also. So essentially, it's a multimodal installation with sound and a double video, and also with the text. So that was quite a strong project. Since it was exhibited at the showcase, they have exhibited it also in a couple of art galleries here in Dublin. Next one, please. This was a game that one of the other teams did called Ignis Fatuus, which was based it's a virtual reality game, as you can see, but it's actually a 2-player game. So there was one player was outside virtual reality, and the 2 players on the other one was inside virtual reality, as you can see there. And then the 2 players had to collaborate to communicate in order to play the game. So it was a 2-player game, cooperative game, and the aim was to escape from the game world, and the 2 players had to help each other do that. Next one, please. Here is a project called Faces of Dublin. So this team, they developed a new way to visualize demographic data. So they got hold of a big data set from the Central Statistics Office here in Ireland. And that data consisted of demographic data for the city of Dublin down to per block granularity. And they had data like health levels, like poverty levels, like income levels for each of the apartment blocks. And they developed a new way using faces sort of designed and created algorithmically, depending on the data set, on a map overlay to show, essentially visualize that data in a way that made it easy to interact with the data. This was a very strong project. They also interviewed some of the people who lived in those areas and put those videos on the map there. So next one, please. So this one is 4 elements, a very different project. Also, this is an art installation, something you might find in an art gallery. Very, very strongly design focused. They use the Kinect controller. You might be able to see it there on the right, so that audiences would interact with the installation using their body by moving around the exhibition space, and that would trigger different animations, like those you see there, and different sounds and so on. So quite a beautiful experience, very, very sort of aesthetically pleasing, and very popular, especially with kids, as you can see there. Next one, please. Yeah, so that's all. That was just some example of projects. We have many, many different projects. There was also one which I didn't have a photo of there, where one of the teams created a smartphone and tablet app to help kids learn programming, computer programming. So you can see that the scope is really wide. People can get to do very different things in their project, and it's really driven by this. In many programs, they use an internship. But we don't do that because we want to see the students' ideas. We want to see our students be as creative as they possibly can, and hopefully at the end they'll have a strong project and a strong portfolio piece to show to future employers, or maybe as a foundation to start their own company. I put in this picture here also just sort of to mention that Trinity has a very, very vibrant student community. These are all the student societies that have gathered. They gather for 1 week at the beginning of the year in Front Square, and they try and get their get people to join their societies. And I think Nora probably knows better than I, but I think there's about 100 societies. Normally it's between 90 and 110, and about any different topic that you might be interested in. So I'd encourage people to join as many societies, as they can. So this is one of the really nice things about Trinity Life. Next one, please.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Matt. It was very, very useful. And now it's a Q&A session. So kindly ask you to write your questions in the chat box. And Matt or myself are hopefully able to answer your questions on that. I think, Matt, it was great that you shared some information about the project. They all seem very, very interesting. Could you please talk about, while we're waiting for the questions, for example, if we have a student coming from humanities, how can they cope with the computer science elements of the course?
Yes, that's a very good question. So we do, as you saw on the course list, we have a course called Programming for Digital Media, and it is a proper programming course. We do teach real programming, but we don't assume people can program when they come into the course. Sometimes I encourage people, if they have a chance, to do an online course in, say, JavaScript or Python or something over the summer. That can help, but we don't require it. And we do have a lot of students from the arts humanities who pick up the programming. Because our course has so multidisciplinary as it is, people have different challenges depending on where they come from. So someone from, let's say, literature or film studies might find the programming course more challenging, whereas someone from computer science might find, say, the critical theory module, or maybe the graphic design and user interface design maybe more challenging. So my point is that everyone comes to the course with a different background, and they find that they spend more time in some courses than the others, but they're different for everybody.
Very good. And you talked about the project in the end of second and the whole third semester. Could you please talk about the structure of those projects? So, what are the expectations from college towards the students? Do they have to work on it individually, or do they have a supervisor, or how is it structured exactly?
Yep. So the projects are they're team projects, and about 4 to 5 people per team, and we team people up. I'm happy to talk about why we do it that way. It works quite well in our experience. And then each team decides what do they want to do, and we find that once they've decided what they want to do, we assign a supervisor to each team, and then the supervisor is responsible for guiding the student, sort of essentially asking the right questions and making sure the project becomes as strong as possible, and helping the students that way. But the creative vision is really driven by the students, right? So we try and encourage them to develop their own ideas and to create the strongest possible project that they can. It's kind of a unique experience to really to learn something new and create something that people are really passionate about, and so that's fun. But I should mention also, we have a dedicated space, not that fancy building that Nora showed in the photo, unfortunately, yet, but we do have quite a nice space where the students have an entire floor of our building, which is dedicated to this course, and we have a lab with computers, and we have some other equipment like video cameras, audio equipment, games consoles, musical equipment, and so on, that we use. So the students work in that space over the summer, and they kind of turn it into their creative space. So that's how that works. And then they have meetings with their supervisor maybe every 2 weeks.
Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, in the meantime, we received some questions. So Stephen is asking, am I right in understanding that all modules outlined in the course description online will be available to all students regardless of academic background?
Yes, that's correct. In fact, we don't have any optional modules on this course, so everybody takes all the modules.
Okay, very good.
So even if you've done computer science, you still have to do the programming course, but which may sound sounds peculiar, but because I should mention also the workload on this course is quite high. So if one of them looks like it might be a bit easier for you, that's actually probably just a benefit, because it means you can spend a bit less time on that module because you'll be busy enough with the other modules.
Excellent. Alisa is asking, where can she find other examples of the projects made for this course?
Yeah, we have a course website. Let me just type it here. There's not quite as much on it. We've only started doing this. Let me see here. Just want to make sure I give you the right one.
I can also share this link with you guys later on when I send out the webinar. So I will just save it and also share it with you via email, so you will have it in case you cannot note it down in the chat.
Yes, I can't remember it off the top of my head actually.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely
but
fine.
We have a link for the website. Yeah.
Okay, very good. And then Sean is asking, I have a strong interest in UX and UI design. How much focus is put on this in the program, depending on the selection of modules?
We do have one module that focuses on design. It covers other things too. It's not a pure UI UX design course by any stretch. You know, but we do cover UI and UX design. We also cover graphic design as a starting foundation there. So depending on your interests, we certainly do cover UI and UX design, but we have a focus on many other things too. So it is a very multidisciplinary course.
Very good. And then there's a question about the whole admission process, Matt. So we have a student who applied early November and still waiting for a reply. So if you can just talk about, just very briefly, about the selection process, that would be great.
Yeah. So the way we're doing it is we're interviewing everybody who satisfies the criteria, and that does take a while for us to get through. But you will hear from us. I would say also the coronavirus situation here has kind of thrown our process off a little bit, unfortunately. But we will follow up. We're interviewing over the next couple of weeks, and then the next 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. So just basically, so Trinity College Dublin is also closed now. So everyone is working from home remotely. So that slows down the process a little bit. So I would kindly ask everyone's patience a little bit about this, but we are trying very hard to speed up the process as much as possible when it comes to the admission part. And then there is a question again related to the coronavirus situation. So is there a possibility that the new semester will start with online classes, or will it be postponed by a few weeks if the situation doesn't come under control? So I'm sure Mads is able to answer this, but I would like to highlight that we have various working groups at the moment at Trinity working very hard to discuss all the possible scenarios, you know, which can come up, and once we have something finalized, we will communicate with our applicants and offer holders immediately. And that's why I shared the links with you in the beginning when it comes to, you know, receiving up-to-date information, official information. Please check the website. There is a possibility that there might be, you know, an alternative start date or something like that. But again, nothing is confirmed yet. So I don't know if Mads, would you like to share something about that? But this is the information what I have at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the college is really looking at this. I hope we'll be able to start as normal, because it's really a good way to learn, to be in the same room with everybody. But that said, you know, if we will need to do like you're suggesting in the chat there, that maybe there'll be a couple of weeks where we do online in the beginning, that could be a possibility, but it's really a decision that college will probably take, and then, you know, we will sort of adapt, to deal with the situation. I mean, our main concern is, of course, that everybody needs to be healthy and remain healthy, that there's no risk. And we are able to do some other things online, but we prefer to do the course in real life.
Okay. Beatrice is asking that due to the COVID-19 situation, she can't do an English test in Portugal. Yeah, as I mentioned, IELTS centers and all the English language centers are closed in many countries. So Beatrice and everyone attending the webinar, again, Trinity is looking into alternative options, and there has been a solution already. And that will be published very soon on the website, and our applicants are going to be informed about alternative English tests. My suggestion would be to submit your application without the English test, and then we will follow up with you with the alternative route when it comes to English proficiency tests. Claire is also asking about, just a second, so for the programming CS aspects of the course, which types of languages or platforms are most commonly used? Matt?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, so for our programming for digital media course, at the moment we're using JavaScript because it's the most useful language for web-based programming. So we use JavaScript in the browser, but also on the server side. So we use a web server called Node.js, which supports JavaScript on the server. And we also have a little bit of SQL, which allows you to interface with databases. So that's what we're doing right now, and most likely what we'll be doing in the next academic year also. As you saw, some of the virtual reality project I mentioned, they used Unity and C# in their project. We certainly encourage the students, if they want to learn Unity and C# for their projects, then they can do that, and we encourage that. And we have quite a lot of resources, and the lecturers are very familiar with programming in other languages too, and so on. JavaScript is our language of choice, really, because of its web focus, and that's very useful. That said, because we cover the theory related to programming also, it makes it easier for the students to pick up another programming language, because we've covered the foundations in a way that is intended to make that possible. So, for example, we start up by teaching the basic control structures that you find in nearly all programming languages, so loops and conditionals and object orientation and so on. So the idea is, once you have learned those for JavaScript, you can learn them much easier for other languages like C# or C++ maybe, or Python.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. Xiang is asking, may I know whether a strong digital media advertising background will help or be relevant to the course application?
Yeah, I would say that sounds like a possibly a good fit. I will of course have to look at the details. What have you been doing? Do you have a portfolio you can include, and so on? That would be good. When you say you don't have a strong academic background, I guess that can be interpreted in different ways. We do require people have a 2-1, to join this course, except in really exceptional circumstances. If you've done something super relevant in some other fashion, possibly professional experience or something along those lines, that's a possibility too. But generally, the 2-1 is something we don't depart from very often.
Yeah, thank you. And if someone would like to do some online courses for programming to get themselves prepared, which one would you recommend, Matt?
I would recommend an online JavaScript course. I don't actually have a specific one. That's not a bad idea. Maybe we should make some more specific suggestions. But if you can find an introductory course in JavaScript, that will help you get up to speed. As I mentioned earlier, we do our programming course is a proper programming course, and we do expect the students will that they know how to program once they finish the course. They may not want to be programmers, in their jobs after that, and most don't. Although sometimes people do get surprised and find out that they love programming and they change tracks. But online JavaScript course is a good foundation, because we do move quite fast once the programming starts.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Matt, and thank you for everyone attending the session. I think it was very, very useful. Again, as I mentioned, the session was recorded, so once it is uploaded on the streaming platforms, we will share the link with you. And on the slide, you can see the E3 team email address. So if you have any questions about the course or the application process, please feel free to contact me and my colleagues, Ellie and Melanie. And if you have any questions about the course that I cannot answer, then I will forward it to Matt. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. There are some questions, and I'm just checking if it's something that we can quickly answer. Yes. Yeah, I think we answered about the study start in case of the coronavirus, and about the scholarship opportunities. So if you visit the Trinity website, there are various scholarships available for students coming from non-EU countries. So please have a look at that. Unfortunately, the E3 Excellence Scholarship is not available for students on this course, if you're referring to that. So thank you again, everyone, and have a lovely day. Stay safe, and thank you again for attending. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.